Okay. Hi, guys. Welcome back to episode 3 of chapter 55. We're here this week to talk about some of the most popular books we've been seeing out there right now. The Knockemout series by Lucy Score,
Yep.
incomplete, 2 out of 3 books. We read Things We Never Got Over and Things We Hide from the Light. And we're going to break those down today and talk about those. This episode will cover both of those books. So if you haven't read them, go do that before you listen to this episode because there will be spoilers.
Yeah.
And we're not sorry about it. Do want to give a trigger warning though. These books, there might be conversation about domestic violence, general violence, and sexual content. So if
Bow
those
out.
aren't your things,
Yep.
come back and listen to us next time. Yeah, okay. So let's start with
Okay.
things we never got over. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about was Naomi. Just talking about Naomi for a second, character wise, because we sat with Naomi for 2 books and we got another book to go. So what an iconic like opening scene of a book, just like runaway bride in a coffee shop.
And I like how long it took for us to figure out like why she ran away too. Like they drew out the story, or Lucy drew out the story.
Yes.
I think with pretty good timing. Like it wasn't too drawn out. It wasn't immediately shoved into our faces. Like we got to wonder about why, and then we found out. And it was good. It was good pace.
I like that the book started with action. I like that like immediately we were put into the story and there was no build up to that. We just immediately start with like we've got this. It kind of reminded me of that episode of Friends, like the first episode of Friends when Rachel runs into the coffee shop in her wedding dress. And that just starts the whole series. And I feel like Lucy Score did kind of the same thing. And yeah. But Naomi's personality was very interesting to me. Pretty goody two shoes.
Not in a bad way though.
And I liked, so I guess this, no, I mean, she was brave. Like, I really did think she was but I thought it was really funny the way that she would, like, make Waylay eat vegetables. That always got me. And, Waylay is used to being, like, this free spirit, and Naomi's like, we're not doing that anymore. You're gonna eat vegetables and go to school and wear nice clothes.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, like, going into the book, I remember, like, finding out that she had to, like, take care of this kid, and I was like, we're 50 pages into this, and there's already a child trope, and I got, like, really upset about it, but it played out well. Like, I think it was worth it. It was fine. It wasn't, like, overdone. The whole book didn't revolve around the kid, like, in that way.
Yeah. So. Well, okay, so we got our runaway bride, and then all of a sudden, we've got Mr., steel-toed boots, tattoos, owns a bar, Knox. He was interesting at first. I was, like, wondering almost immediately, I was like, why does this guy have such a stick up his ass? Like, who hurt you? Who made you this way?
I mean, it's a grumpy sunshine trope. Like, I expected it.
Yeah.
And he came 100%. Around too.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I kind of thought it was weird the way she just like snuck in him winning the lottery. Like, it was kind of like a casual conversation. It was like, oh yeah, by the way, Knox won $11 million.
And he's richer now.
I was like, wait,
somehow.
I gotta read that again.
He's even more rich than $11 million. I like keep forgetting that detail. But she was like, he invested this money and got all these businesses, and now he's got more money than what he won. And I was like, what?
Yeah, I was like, how much money do you need to live in Northern Virginia? Like,
what small town business owner is like making that much money? And also, I'm gonna be a critic.
Also,
having grown up in a small town, I think it was a little too Hallmark. and don't get me wrong, I like to think about my hometown all the time. Yeah, but it's not
It
like
ain't that
this
cute.
cute coffee shop that's run by girls with blue hair and like a bunch of liberals. Like they're all,
Nah,
yeah.
bitch, they're all divorced. Are you kidding?
Grown-ups in
They're
small
all
towns are insane.
divorced. They're crazy. Yeah. And the book portrays like everyone in this small town being so like perfect and I I mean not perfect, but like
They're all
quirky.
so
Like they're all
quirky.
quirky townspeople. And
Yeah.
it's just not like that. Like you have quirky people in a small town, but not in like a romantic kind of way. Like not in the way that you want to read about it, unless you're reading like, you know, the county sheriff's
Right.
press release. Like you're not um it's I don't know. It's not quirky in a good way. Yeah, I guess I didn't even think about paralleling
Yeah. I
it
mean, I don't know if I
to
should,
Young
because like
Adult.
obviously where we grew
I
up is not every small town ever. But I remember like reading it and being like, I just know.
no.
Granted, it's a story. It's not based on real life. It's completely made up. This doesn't exist. Like,
Right.
I mean, maybe Knockemout actually exists, but like for the most part, I mean, like we have to consider that whenever we're comparing it to this like realistic light. So,
Well, and
right,
we didn't read the
that
book
too.
because we wanted realism. I mean, that's the whole point of like books like that is escapism. That's kind of the
Yeah.
I mean, at least that's what I'm looking for. If you're gonna give me like a hefty dose of
Yeah. I mean,
reality in a
I
book, I might
definitely
not read
think,
it.
oh, sorry.
Like,
Um,
no, you're good.
I really think that it was like
Keep going.
such
I
a
was done.
Hallmark movie wrapped into a book, which is fine. I just
Yes.
wasn't in like the mindset for that whenever I was reading it, so I was like dredging through the story. It was very sweet, it was very cute, very like happy go lucky. But there were like a couple things where I was like, I feel as if some of the scenes could have been made more serious, but the story and Naomi were so quirky that it took away from some of the seriousness.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt like there were some really heavy topics
Yeah.
just kind of like snuck in there. And it was like, are we gonna talk about that? No, okay, like we're all quirky and drinking and like having it
Yeah.
sure, whatever,
Or
like
even whenever they were being
that's
kidnapped,
fine.
like they're
And
tied
there were
up,
certain things,
they're being abducted, and they're
yeah.
cracking jokes. I'm like, what?
Yeah. If I was being kidnapped, I don't really know if I'd be
Yeah,
like making a joke about it. I don't know. Maybe I'd be texting you like, "LOL, Daily
right.
Adventure just got kidnapped." Who knows? I I I'm not sure. I definitely I guess to talk a little bit about like Knox and Naomi together and how they got together. That was I mean, obviously it's like one
Right.
of those stories where you know it's going to happen. But one thing I really wanted to talk about with them about them is just one we've already kind of addressed the whole grumpy sunshine vibe. Um just that like he was so unnecessarily grumpy, it felt like give me a good reason. Give me a reason for you to be this way. I need a good reason for you to just we like I don't know, even the fight that he had with Nash, it was like make it make sense. I need this to I make it make sense to me because I didn't get it. And then the whole thing with like him buying the police station and putting his name on it, I was like, you're a petty bitch. But like, I don't know. I I guess I didn't understand Knox. Like I got Naomi. Naomi made sense. She's like, I have a job to do. I need to take care of this kid. I need to find my sister. I need to like put my life together. Like that was a woman with a plan. She was a girl boss, gaslight, gatekeep, like she was doing all the things. And Knox is just like, I'm mad and I drive a truck and I have a lot of money. And like
Okay, listen, I love Naomi. She was great. Um, I also really love Knox. I have a bleeding heart for men. I'm just like, oh my god, he's so masculine and grumpy. So I'm just like, okay. I don't mind at all.
Okay, but in the Knox versus Nash debate, I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but like Nash wins. In the Knox, and we can get more into that.
Okay.
We can get more
We'll
into
cross
that.
this bridge later.
Let's not spoil
Yeah.
things. Just sit with that. Let's
Okay.
just sit with that. Let's talk about some major scenes that happened. So I felt like the first really big like plot point was when Nash got shot. I did feel like that was kind of abrupt, but if you read both books, it comes together. It took a while, but it does come together. I was kind of, I don't know. I felt as a reader when that scene happened, like I was just launched into this family drama that I didn't necessarily understand yet. Like it felt as if there was a lot of context around the situation that hadn't been discussed or described or like made known to the reader. Um like even fully understanding the big fight between Knox and Nash as it is, I was like, I don't know what's going on.
I think for me, that's what it took for me to like get into the book. That was like the turning point for me where I was like, okay, this book is sweet. Ha 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 ha. Happy go lucky. We're so cute in our little small town. Everyone has so everyone is so unique. And then it happened.
All I can think of is like Duloc from Shrek. When you say they're happy-go-lucky town folks, like I think of Duloc from Shrek, and they're like, "It's a Duloc." They're all just really
That's
happy,
like
and then the walls come down. It really is. And then all of a sudden, there's this huge crime syndicate in this.
Yeah, I feel like it was such a refresher, though. It was like a breath of fresh air from everything that was going on because it was such a like cheery book that like a little bit of crime, drama, shooting, near death experience. I was like, ooh, okay.
I think that I could I think that when I don't want to, I don't know if Lucy Score, if you're listening to this, you're probably not. But if you are and you want to ever like come on here and just explain your thought process, I would love to hear it. But I almost feel like Lucy went into writing this book and she didn't necessarily have that plot point figured out, but like had to find something to strengthen the narrative because I kind of felt like as I was reading the book, like the story didn't necessarily begin with like that in mind, and then it kind of got introduced later. And I mean, it was a good plot point. Like I felt like the narrative was strong. It was just that I think it was more of a like, as a writer, she's probably like, I'm, and this is just my own process. Like when I write, and like I fall in love with my characters first. Like I construct my characters first, and then I have to find something to do with my characters. Like, how do I want this to play out with these people? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? Like, what is, what are they going to do? We have to give them something to do. And I kind of feel like when it came to the whole like organized crime thing and all of that, like I think that kind of like developed after the characters, if that makes sense. And then she kind of went with it because I felt like it was much more developed in the second book.
Then again, like the second book was Nash. If like for Nash, this was his big pivotal like turning point in his life. Like this incident
That's true.
Completely knocked him off the rails. So he's completely off track. He's like his perspective on life is completely just shattered. And so I think that's why it got so far into detail with it. I see what you're saying because it was like so abrupt, but I also wonder if that was just her way of like rushing to explain and like not settle too much on the drama between Knox and Nash without like drawing it out so we can keep our focus on Naomi. And then we can discuss this drama, get over it, and now we have the pretenses for book 2.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think the next thing that I wanted to talk about in context of just this book, because
it keeps coming up.
I'm ready to talk about the second one. So maybe I'm gonna like my next bullet point was like just childhood trauma. So maybe we like dog ear that for when we talk about Nash, because I think it kind of like goes hand in hand, and that's more explored in the second book. But one thing I did want to make sure that we mentioned when it comes to this whole Knockemout universe is like, okay, so Naomi admits that um that her
Mm-hmm.
ex-fiance hit her, and that was, I think, like a really strong, powerful moment in the book. But something that I didn't necessarily understand was when her ex-fiance showed up at the bar, it was like over in a flash. Like he shows up, makes a scene, they kick him
Yeah.
out, and then that was
And
it. Like he was just done.
I think it was
I
just
thought that
to
was
kind of keep
strange.
the reader chugging along. Honestly, it worked for me. Yeah,
I would have liked more. Like if I could have had this story any way I wanted, I would have liked for the ex-fiance to be the fucking aggressor, I guess, in the story rather than, because I wanted to know more about that situation. Like I wanted to know more about like Naomi's past and understanding like what makes her who she
yeah.
is and how she
I
got to
think
the
we could
point
have
that she's
I think
in.
it could have been drawn out a bit more to at least like almost run it as a stronger parallel to like the Tina and the break-ins, like to that timeline or storyline. I think this could have run a little bit stronger up beside it because I'll
Mm-hmm.
be honest, whenever I feel like I'm being so negative. I don't mean to be. I liked the book. I enjoyed it. Um, but it was there
I
was like a
liked the book
couple
too. Yeah,
dry
it was
spots, and I
great.
feel like we could have patched that with this story about where she came from, how she ended up where she is. I feel like we breezed over the details, and then it was very much in the
Yeah.
now.
Well, I think that Lucy Score created such a dynamic character with Naomi that
Yeah,
like I just wanted to know more about her. And I mean it's like
of
no
course.
hate to Lucy Score or anything like that. Like she did a great job. My big thing is just like you
Yeah.
did such a good job. I want to know more. Um and I really just want to like I want to know more about this character and like what her backstory is, and like we get blurbs, and of course you have Steph, and Steph I think
Hmm.
gives more of a window into Naomi, but
I know.
also I love Steph's character. I thought he was like the comedic relief. The I didn't
Yeah.
I really liked him, but that was a thing that just kind of hit me. I think it would have been better suited for him to come for her like in the first half of the story, almost like before Nash gets shot, and kind of like I guess before her parents get there and all of that, and to kind of like shut down that whole thing. But yeah, when it comes to like Naomi and her ex, I think I would have asked for a little bit more from that
Yeah.
storyline specifically. Um, because I do feel like the crime storyline, like I understand that it involves Naomi's sister, but I did feel like that was a much more like Nash heavy storyline. And like she set it up in the first book, and that's great. But like I think that there's more that could have been done to kind of
Yeah.
individualize the
I think
stories.
so, definitely. I think that there were a lot of parts where
Um,
they could have been like more dramatic and like pull more emotion out of you. But at the same time, I wonder if she was trying
yeah,
to avoid that. Because this book was breezy. It was a breath of
that's
fresh
true
air.
too.
Like the whole thing was just like I just want to sit down and read a sweet little story, and that this was it. This was it. And I wonder if that was her
That's a good
intent.
point. You and I are like, I think that probably was because I mean, not everybody wants to
Right.
read tearjerker all the time. Like, not everybody wants to have all these really heavy storylines, but they want action. Like, and
Yeah.
I think she definitely gave that. Like, I think that she gave action. She gave the reader what they were looking for. So I think the next thing too. Okay, Knox and Nash Morgan are two of the most dramatic men
They
I've
are.
ever met in my
Yes.
life, like fictionally. In real life, I've met plenty of dramatic men, but I'm getting married to one. But I when Knox didn't make any fucking sense to me sometimes. And when he broke up with Naomi, I was like, where did that come from? I don't understand. I need you to give me more of a reason because he just woke up one day and was like, okay, time to end it. Here's a check. And I was like, what?
Yeah, they never really got into explaining really why that happened, but I will say I kind of like that was hard for me to read, like having gone through like a breakup with Stewie recently, and then we got back together obviously, but like breaking up with someone but not wanting to, but feeling like you need to. I don't know.
Yeah.
That was like the part of the book where I was like, this is hard for me to read. Like I think it's a trigger for me. Is that's not to throw the word around lightly, but like whenever I
I
was
didn't
reading
think
it, she
about that.
described it
No,
so
I
well,
didn't
like the
think about
shards in
that.
my stomach and like all of these things, these deep, heavy emotions of like doing something but not entirely understanding why.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. The breakup, I feel
But
like
no,
it
that's a
could have
good
been
perspective.
explained more, but I do think that she described like the emotions of that very well. Like I think that's where she was like really honed in on
Okay.
the drama, so to say, of it all. It was that scene.
Yeah. I just there was just no real I didn't feel
Oh
like there
yeah,
was like build up to it
abrupt.
though, you know. I felt like it was um it, I did feel like it was abrupt because I think that you can have a breakup like that, but then again, that kind of goes with the rest of the story is like this is a happy like I did feel like the story was fast paced. It felt like there was always like there may have been like some dry points, like maybe when they're all at one of Waylay's soccer games and they're like just being the adults that they are. I always thought those little scenes where they all talk and like had like witty things to say to each other, I always thought they were really funny. And the way that I visualized those in my head, it was like, I don't even know how to explain it. But do you know what I'm talking about? Like when all of them would have their
It felt like a
moments, they would
sitcom.
be like at a soccer game or like at the bar or whatever. Yeah, it did. That's exactly what it felt like. Or like when we get introduced to Lena and she shows up after the breakup and like they all go drinking and
Yep.
it honestly felt like a sitcom. That's what this book is. Like this book is like it's like a it's a romantic comedy. That's I probably sound like an idiot just coming to that realization. You're nodding your head yes.
Yeah, it very
It's a
much was. I think
romantic
that's a great way
comedy.
to describe this. It's a
Um
rom com. It's a Hallmark movie. It's a sitcom. Did I say that? No, I said
yeah.
rom com. But like, I think that's very much like what it was
Yeah.
intended to be.
But it gives you that but it gives you that satisfaction. Like
Yeah,
everything at the end was tied up nicely with a bow. And I did appreciate that. And I always appreciate that about stories that like tie things up nicely and neatly at the end and you're like, okay, like I can breathe. And to be fair, like I ate this book up. Like there was no moment of me being like, no, I can't continue. I don't like I ate that book up. So it overall, like it was good. Um I'm worried that anybody listening to this is gonna be like, why is she being so hard on this book? And I'm
I feel
not,
like
I
I'm being
promise
hard
I'm
on the book,
not. I'm just talking through all of it.
but we're talking about all aspects of it
I
too.
do too. But I would honestly but that yeah, I mean just kind of the whole thing. And I mean, I felt like the characters were dynamic. I felt like she took a long time to kind of like every person in that book like had a part. Like she I was really impressed with the way that she could take, you know, such a large cast of characters and give
Yeah,
all of them something to do. Um and make it like narratively interesting. I thought she did a really good job of that because she did introduce a lot of people and there were times where I was like, okay, I know you've said that name before, but I can't remember where that was. And then like she would bring
yeah,
them back in and then
I
kind of like
love that.
remind
I
you of who
love the
they were and
reminder. I need it.
okay, like I get that. Yeah, I mean, I do too. So, because really, like, she kind of fully immerses you into like the Knockemout universe and the people and the town and like who is this guy and who is that guy and like I feel like I could walk into Knockemout and be
Mhm.
like, I know all of you. All right, so
I'm
are
so
you ready to
ready.
move on to things we hide from the light? Okay, so let's talk Angelina, or
Lena.
Lena, as she's called in the book. She's the complete opposite of Naomi. Like, we're talking about high heel wearing, badassery, drives a fast
My
car,
kind of girl.
has a scary
She
job.
was
Like,
my
she
cup
does
of
all the
tea.
things.
I love Naomi. I
She,
love Lena even more.
I found her really
I think the second
interesting.
book was better than the first, just based on my personal preference. Like,
I I think that like Nash
yes,
and Lena,
yep,
very good. Very, very, very good. I definitely I yeah. I did think I thought Lena was like good for Nash too, because I'm not gonna lie. In the first book I kind of found him a little annoying with like the way he was advancing on Naomi, and I was like,
hmm
dude, like obviously your
and
brother's
I
in
like
it,
how they addressed it too.
like calm down.
Like, Lucy Score didn't
And
forget that. She was like, we need
yeah.
to have a page for this.
Yeah, I know. When she was like, when Nash is like, yeah, I thought I could get with Naomi. Like, I thought Naomi was the kind of girl I'd settle down with, and
Yeah.
I mean, at least he was honest about it, and he was like, well, I guess that was more Knox's thing than mine. And I mean, but Lena, I honestly, I need a novella about like Knox and Lena now too. Like, I want to know. I want to be a fly on the wall for how
hmm
that worked out. I'm sure there was a lot of yelling. Um, I'm sure that was super toxic, but I did think that Lena was interesting in the sense that she's got this like fast-paced job and this fast-paced life, and she has a heart condition.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was interesting. Like, she had a lot of facets to her personality.
Okay.
And
Mm-hmm.
I really liked Lena. I liked everything about her. I will say, uh, having medical background, the both of us, the heart condition should have been pinging a lot more often. If she can't sit through a stressful conversation, should also be dinging whenever she's working out. But it's for the dramatics of the book, for the purpose of the book, it was it served its purpose. But I was like, there's no way her heart rate while
Uh,
having this conversation, this confrontation with
I
Nash, there's no
definitely,
way she's not hitting that during this big aggressive workout with the elders.
yeah, but I know I was like, is she gonna
Yeah.
have a heart attack right now? As I'm reading it, I'm like, is she literally gonna have a heart attack right now? Because I was
Yeah.
there for it. I was like, this is gonna be interesting. I mean, obviously, don't want her to have a heart attack. That was not what I meant. But okay, so let's talk about Nash for a second. Okay, so when I'm comparing like Knox and Nash, obviously like they both have a lot of childhood trauma from their mom dying and their dad being a drug addict,
Mhm.
and like they've got a lot going on there. How they've both internalized that trauma was really interesting to me. um I always think it's interesting when you're talking about childhood trauma and like having a sibling where you share an experience with, but like you guys just internalize it in two very different ways. And with Knox and Nash, just seeing how like Nash is like, oh well, I can save everybody, and Knox is like, I
Mhm.
can fix. Like they both had, they both kind of had like a common goal, but their childhood affected them, and like their way of preparing their childhood was just different. Like I don't know, but I really Nash was interesting to me in many different ways, and I think the big thing with Nash that I appreciated was shining a light on men's
Mhm.
mental health. That's not something that we like read about or see or talk about very much, and I thought that that was a really subtle way for her to
Yeah.
kind of like slip that in there. And I appreciate I appreciated that it was a storyline where it's not like the woman that's freaking out and breaking down all the time. Like
Yeah.
I agree with you. Now there were some points though where like he literally
Yeah.
annoyed the shit out of me. I I don't have the book with me. If I did, I would like point out specific moments, but there were just times with him where I was like it was mostly like the moment that I felt the most I guess upset with Nash was when they were at the soccer game and I guess like Lena had lied to him, and he like makes this whole scene. He's like, "Get away from my family, you're a liar," blah blah blah.
He
I
made
was
me
like, what
so
is
mad.
wrong with you? Like,
She
she
didn't
didn't
lie.
even really
She was trying.
lie.
He made all of
It
these
really pissed
assumptions,
me
did not
off.
allow her the opportunity to explain herself. He stands in front of this entire crowd, airs out her dirty
Right.
laundry, and Lena bites her tongue, walks away, and he freaking chases her and follows her. And I wish Lena would have looked at him and said, "You hurt me.
Yeah.
You aired out my secrets. In this whole freaking book, I kept yours."
Yeah.
I like, oh, I wish she would have just like
Right. I definitely like first half of the book
yeah.
Nash, because I felt bad for him in many ways. I was like, you're pretty hot. I'm really into this. The whole like, I mean, and then he's having like his panic attacks, and Lena's helping him, and like, they're getting through it, and he adopts this dog, and like all of this. And but when he got all like Twitter pated about her lying to
Right.
him when she didn't really lie, I I really got annoyed with him. I was like, calm the heck down. Like, you're gonna give this woman a heart attack. Like, you need to chill. And I felt like he was like a little too intense. But then I felt like he mellowed out in the second half. But I don't know. I some major scenes to talk about. We really got into
Loved
it
it.
with the crime syndicate that was introduced in the first book. Yes, we got a lot of good stuff there. And the crooked cop.
Yep.
Okay, I want to talk about this for a second. And this is one of the reasons why I found that Nash turned me on so much. It's because
We love a
it's
good
because
cop.
he's a good
Good
cop.
apples.
Like he is a good cop. When he got rid of the bad apple, and then like they were talking about like let's change things up, like let's be more compassionate, and he was having that conversation with the mayor, I was like, this is what I need. And I don't know, I was all over
Yeah.
that. I was like, wow, I didn't realize that
I
could make
loved
me
the
feel that
cop
way.
POV without like the problems
That was
of policing. Like, well,
yes.
you know what I'm trying to say. Like, we were able to have like this cop who like wasn't a
Yeah.
problematic character. Not that cops are always problematic characters in books, but like, like we got to see like some of the drama that revolves around
Right.
policing, and then he like nipped it in the butt, addressed it, and like they tied that into his character pretty well.
Yeah. No, yeah. And so it really did make me like Nash's character more when I knew like he's a kind, caring, compassionate human being, and
Mm-hmm.
I appreciated that about him. And I also, as much as he like annoyed me with Lena, just some of the scenes there, the I guess everything leading up to the point before they had sex in the library, um like between the soccer game and sex in the library, where basically like he thought she had lied, and then he was just being kind of obnoxious, and then they get that
Mm-hmm.
bad cop that he got rid of, gets upset at
So
the
such a dramatic
book
scene, by the
retreat.
way.
And that was a lot. Yeah. And also like in my head all I can hear is like is Luke Bryan's Country Girl. It was my kind of party, but like for some reason in my brain I'm reading the scene and I hear Country Girl shake it for me, and I'm
Just like the
like
wall of people lining
chef's
up to
kiss.
punch him
Good
in the
job.
face. Like, I was like, okay. I was like,
Yeah, and it's
BFFR.
like Luke, yeah. Yeah, and then you just get, I don't know, the way that moment
Really.
was set up was interesting, but I okay, in the scene in the
Mm-hmm.
library, that
Oh
was
yeah.
hot. I, that was very that was a good one. That was a good one. Um I did like how she connected the crooked cop to the crime
Oh
syndicate.
yeah.
Um I thought that was a really interesting, like it made
Right.
it kind of like it made everything connect. And I liked that
Yeah, it was
she
sort of
did
out
that a
of left
lot
field. Like
actually.
you're reading this book and you're expecting everything to be from Duncan. And the next thing you know, there's this guy who was initially just a side piece,
Right.
and now he's like shoved back into the main storyline. I liked it. It was tasteful.
Right. I know, I liked how she connected everything. Like she gave she gave it a purpose,
Yeah.
and I appreciated that she did that. I think the next thing that we had on here was okay. I had the same complaint about the first book that I did about this one, and I guess it's not like a
Mm-hmm.
complaint, it's just a point. Um okay, so when he comes home towards the end and like very random after he was on scene with that car accident, and then he comes home and then he like breaks up with her. Like that was completely out of left field. When he came home and was like, he didn't even I felt like he didn't even explain the accident until after the fact. So as a reader, I was like, what's going on? And when he broke up with her and was like, I can't do this because he's thinking that she's gonna die. Like he can't live. He's gonna
Yeah.
become like his dad. Basically, is what he was afraid of. And then like he's chasing her in the street. Like she leaves and he's chasing her and it's like, I'm kidding, I'm sorry. And I obviously that scene was very heavy, but I don't know. If I felt for
I think it
me
was kind
another
of
it felt abrupt.
abrupt again. Yeah, but I thought it was like a little realistic. You know, to have like
How
this
so?
moment where he's like feeling so down and he does this one thing that's impulsive, and then he like immediately after it happens is like, oh my god, I messed up. I think that's something that a
That's
lot of
a
people
good
do.
point.
Like I think a
That's a
lot of
good
people
point.
who have been in relationships at one point or another have been like, we need to break up, and it lasts for like a few hours, like not even a full day, and been like, that was irrational, I didn't think it through,
Yeah.
let's work through this, let's have this conversation, hindsight's 2020.
Okay, well, now that you say that, that's kind of fair because when Grayson and I broke up back in 2021, I literally got back together with him after 45 minutes. Like
Yeah,
the breakup took like 4 hours, and then I left like long enough to go buy a
I
bottle of
Venmoed you for
wine,
that.
and then I came back and it had been 45 minutes. You did Venmo me for that because you're a good friend. But like I came back 45 minutes later, walked into his room. I scared the crap out of him because he was like in bed and he didn't lock his apartment. But so I just walked in. He's completely in the dark. And I'm standing at the end of his bed. And I looked at him and I was like, just kidding.
Yeah, there was.
I think,
Yeah,
yeah, I guess I get that now as I think about it. It just, um, I'm glad
it was
that it
quick.
wasn't drawn out though. Like, I appreciate that Lena was such a strong character for
Hmm.
Nash too. And she was like, listen, it's not going to be that way. I know it's not going to be that way. And I appreciated like the strength that she gave him because in a sense when you look at a character like that and you even in reality like you see a male with men in general like you don't always think like we were talking about men's mental health matters too like we don't always talk about how men also
Yeah,
need someone to take care of them like they also need someone to and now I'm not talking
right.
about taking care like doing their laundry and cooking their damn dinner. I'm talking about like the emotional
Yeah,
needs that we all have as humans. Like they also need someone to help them unpack and be there for their emotional needs. And I think that Lucy Score did a really good job of portraying that
yeah, I
with
think that's
Nash
what
and
made this
Lena.
book unique.
Um,
Like there's not very
and I
many books
appreciated
where
that.
like the man
I do too.
needs that extra person, that needs that needs a woman. No, but like, right, like that
But that's
emotional crutch, that
reality.
viewpoint of someone who gets to know you, who understands you,
Yeah,
who knows how to walk you through your feelings. It doesn't have to be a woman, not to be heteronormative, but like to have
it's
this
true.
man who relies on someone else for that, because I think it's a society we always think of dudes who just want like, you know, hit it and quit it, like like men are emotionally detached. Like, and I think that's how we view men in society. But like a lot of the times, they need someone. They just never
Right.
have someone that understands them in that way. And this is one of the first books that I've read where Nash kind of needed Lena, and she was there. Like this time, it's the guy needing the girl instead of the
Yeah,
other
it
way
wasn't
around.
like right, and I've read so many books where it's like the man
Yes.
comes in to save the damsel in
Yeah.
distress, and I like that it was kind of flipped up and it wasn't like, I need to be saved. It's like we're a partnership now
Yeah.
and we're
You phrase
going
it
to
much
take
better than
care
I
of
did.
each other. And I think that's
Thanks.
you did fine. But I think that that was something that was really important to be talked about because it's not talked about very much. And we say all the time like we want men to be more empathetic. We want men to be more, open, caring, loving, but like we need to continue to talk about that. We need to continue to have
Yeah. I think we need to
representation
nurture this
of that.
platform.
Um
But
exactly.
but
Yeah.
like
Uh,
I think we could get well,
okay.
no. That's such a sidebar. I'm not even going to say it. We're going to stay on track.
So the last thing that I had here for us to talk about were just predictions that we have for the third book. I personally, I'm so
Yeah.
freaking excited for the third book. I
There's
cannot
obviously so much drama.
wait. Lucy Score, I need to know everything about Lucian and Sloane, and I am so excited.
Yeah, I really look forward
I'm
to that one. I
so
think it'll be
excited.
my favorite.
Take PTO
Yeah.
the day that comes out. I do too. I really do. And I am so mad she's doing it last, but like she's building us up for the best one. I know
Yeah.
it. Because like I don't know if you caught the Easter egg she left for us in the bonus epilogue with how they're married.
In the first book?
Like how like we know that they end up
Yeah.
getting
I
married.
was
Just gonna say in the
okay.
bonus epilogue, like it mentions that
Yeah.
Lucian and Sloane are married.
Yeah, and they did that in the first book too. That they got to
So that was it.
we know that Nash
Oh,
ends
I
up
missed
with
it.
Lena. And two things. I absolutely breezed through the bonus
Mm-hmm.
epilogue, so I didn't even notice that. And second thing, I kind of don't like the Easter egg that we know that they get the happily ever after. If they're gonna break up at the end of the book, let me wonder if they're actually gonna work it out. You know?
But I don't think
No,
that's
it's
like
definitely
the
not.
MO of these books. We talked about earlier about how these
Yeah.
are like rom-coms. These are Hallmark.
Yeah.
Like we're going to get our happy ending. We know we're going to get our happy ending. The journey. It's about the
It
journey,
is.
not the
You're right.
destination, okay? When
You're
it
right, but
comes
like
to
I just
these,
like
it
leave a
is
little bit for me to wonder. You know?
yeah. But also, I can't stop thinking about the other thing that they said in there. Lena made a comment about how she could see a scar on Sloane's jaw from like the light from her iPad, and she was like, and Lena says something to the effect of like, we just couldn't believe like how strong our little librarian actually was, or something to that effect. And I was like, what happened? I need to know. Like, I need to know immediately. I go back and read it. I can see your face right now. Go back and read that bonus epilogue. I know it's kind of gross because I know you're
Yeah.
not a big fan of like pregnancy, but go back and go back and read that part because it's been on my mind and I am very
I bet it's like a
much
car accident.
I'm so excited.
I'm
I'm
claiming
so excited
that
for that next book.
prediction. I bet it's a car accident.
I think it has something to do with uh Lucian's dad because they mention that in the book they Nash mentions how
Yeah, and Lucian's
they live
dad like
next door to each
sucks.
other. And they mention how they saw yeah, he was abusive. And so I'm thinking that it has something to do with that.
My
That would
nose
be my
tingles at like
prediction.
thinking about like that dramatic of a
That
scene.
like what finally I know. I think maybe because they talk about how Lucian spent a week in jail. I think maybe the tipping point was that his dad hurt Sloane or something, and then he like
Ah,
went to town
you're so much more
or
creative
something
than
of
I
that
am.
effect. I hope that's what it is because it's I've just been thinking about it because I'm so excited. So overall, I mean, I'm so liberal with my ratings because I'm like 5 out of 5. But if I would give these probably like I'd probably give the first one like a 4 out of 5 and the second one like a 4.5 out of
I
5.
I gave
Just overall.
the first. Oh no, I gave them both 3 stars. I gave them both a 3 out of 5. They were just so
Really?
quirky for me that I think it took away from the
Okay.
seriousness, and I also think that both books could have been like at least 100 pages shorter. This is just completely personal preference. They were great books. I can completely understand how people loved them. I don't think I was in the mindset to read them when I did, if that makes any sense at all. Like,
Okay.
don't get me wrong, they're good books, they're
No, I get
sweet.
it.
I
I get
think
it.
too they were a little too sweet, you know. I want the drama. I want to like dig deep into all of these problems, like throw me in the bottom of the ocean. I want to get so deep into
Yeah.
this. I want it to be so, yes, I want it to
You
be
want the
so
complex.
complex, and I
Yeah.
don't think that that's Lucy's intent for this book. I don't know if I can speak for her writing
I don't
style based on
know.
these 2 books, but I don't think that was her
I
intent. I don't think that was the purpose, and that's not her fault. I don't hold it against her.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think that she's going to give that though in the third book.
Yeah,
I
I'm
really do
thinking
think
it'll
she's
get a
going to give us
4.
some complexity. She's been building
Yeah.
this up for 2 books. Yeah. She's been building this up for 2 books and it's like
Every time there was
I
a
think that
Lucian
it's
and Sloane
yeah.
scene in the first 2 books, I was always like, oh, there's so much to unpack, and I'm so
Same.
excited. I'm so excited to just zip open that suitcase and just like
Yes.
unpack it.
I'm ready. I'm going to like take PTO the day that
Yeah.
book comes out and just
And I think Lucy,
go
like,
for
she's so
it.
smart for doing this. I don't know how many authors can write a series that's 3 books and they each keep getting better. The first one was good. The second one was better. I think the third one's going to be fantastic.
Yes.
She's hyped it up, like, without even advertising it. She's hyped it
I
up
agree.
just by, like, dropping these hints in the first 2 books. And, like, I think it's going to be the best one. And that's impressive to write 3 books of the same series and the same storyline ish, and that they just keep
100%.
getting better. Like, I think that's like a great job on her part. Congrats, Lucy.
No, I agree. I yeah. Seriously. All right. Well, I think that's all we have on chapter 55 today. Thank you for going with us on this Knockemout journey. And yeah, that's all we got. We'll see you
Next
again
time in the Emily Henry,
next time.
the Emily Henry episode.
Yes, it'll
Yes.
be Emily Henry Universe. So,
Toodles.
bye, friends.